What's up, y'all? My name is Dan. So United ordered the Airbus A321XLR in late 2019 to the shock of many people, including yours truly, that thought that United would most likely wait for Boeing to make their Boeing NMA to replace their Boeing 757s and the 767s. It's pretty obvious that the A321XLR would most likely be used to replace their 757s in transatlantic and longer haul routes. Sadly, the Boeing 767 and the 757-300 don't seem to have a replacement as of yet, but they'll probably look for something later when they find a good replacement for them. You could argue that United would also want to replace the 767 like American Airlines did, but unlike American, United's international network is much more stable and profitable than American's. United uses their 767s for some of their most profitable routes. The 767 has its purpose that is very different than the smaller 757 or the larger 787. So whatever aircraft replaces the 767 will most likely have to be a different one than the A321XLR. United Airlines uses the 757 on a lot of domestic and transatlantic routes, as well as flights to Hawaii and South America. United Airlines uses the 757 largely on a lot of domestic routes. It's used mostly on transcontinental routes between the West Coast cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas, to cities in the East Coast like Newark, New York, Washington, Boston, as well as Florida. The 757 also flies on routes from the West Coast and Denver to Hawaii, as well as routes from Newark to Florida, from Denver to the East Coast, and some routes from Houston to Florida and Central America. These routes, though, would probably be replaced by the A321neo or the 737 MAX 10 rather than the Airbus A321XLR. The routes that the Airbus A321XLR would replace would be the transatlantic routes from Newark and Washington to Europe. This includes the flights from Newark to Edinburgh, Stockholm, Bergen, Porto, and others that are currently flown by a 757, as well as Washington to London Heathrow, Lisbon, Edinburgh, and others. Others that could be flown by the type include those from Denver to Hawaii and Chicago to Europe. United has mentioned that it has intentions of flying the Airbus A321XLR, but mainly on transatlantic flights out of Newark, Washington Dulles, and Chicago O'Hare, as mentioned before. But that's not where they're stopping. They also plan on using it to fly further into Europe and maybe even to parts of Africa. Some possible markets include many underserved routes such as New York to Palma de Mallorca, Budapest, Zagreb, Bucharest, and others. From Washington to Manchester, also to Stockholm, Warsaw, and others. I don't see many new routes out of Chicago besides the one that already exists. Flights into South America and New York are also possible, with New York to Lima and Quito, for example. Maybe even Denver and Houston to South America or Hawaii. Many of these markets are underserved or lack any flights at all. I think this aircraft could be also used on routes that currently use a widebody to add a second frequency, such as Houston to Sao Paulo, New York to Amsterdam, Brussels, and others. At the same time, it could be used on seasonal flights operated by wide bodies such as Nice, Naples, Venice, and turn them into year-round flights, kind of similar to what American Airlines plans on doing on some of their routes. It could also be used to replace wide bodies in some year-round flights that might not have the demand to fill a wide body. I don't really know what these routes would be though. I don't know the exact routes that United would use the Airbus A321XLR on, but it's pretty clear this aircraft will change the airline to allow it to enter into some smaller markets, especially in Europe. These are mostly just my opinions. We'll hopefully find out what happens once United gets the aircraft. Thanks for watching this video. I hope y'all liked it. If y'all got any comments, advice, criticisms, anything, y'all can leave a comment. That's all I've got to say, and I'll see y'all later.